how much should your transaction fee be? So you're looking at your credit card processing statement, you're trying to figure it out. One of the things you got to look at is your transaction fee. How much should your transaction fee actually be costing you? That's what we're going to talk about in this video.
TransactionExpert.com is the leader in transaction services. We build your online presence and point of sale system to integrate with each other. If you are ready to understand and control the entire customer experience, visit TransactionExpert.com.
How much should your transaction fee be? Now, this is an area that's a little bit confusing, and I want to explain why. When you look back at the other videos I've done, for instance, you can look in this playlist at network access brand usage fees, dues and assessments, things like that, authorization fees. It can be a little confusing, and I'll tell you why. Because credit card processing companies all have different ways that they charge you. One thing you have to understand about credit card processing companies is that credit card processing companies basically are reselling the transaction services to you. That's why it's called merchant services. And so they can really price it however they would like. They can price it as a flat rate. They can price it all kinds of different ways. It's up to them how they price you. So there are some costs that are involved for the processor, but then they're able to charge you whatever they want as long as they're competitive and they're able to get the account. So when we talk about a transaction fee, I have to explain a couple things about that so you have a better understanding of it. Now, some processors will use a really simple form of pricing, and that simple form of pricing will just be transaction fee. So in other words, on every account, on every transaction, you just have one transaction fee and you have a percentage that you're being charged. And that's nice. I mean, it is simple. Sometimes it's not the most cost-effective pricing model, but it is really simple. For a fixed transaction fee cost, what you have to keep in mind is that the actual cost of running a transaction in terms of the per item fees. So you're going to have your percentage fees, and then you're going to have your per item fees, which we talked about in an earlier video. So you're going to have fees that are charged on like a per item, per transaction basis, a fixed amount. Then you're going to have percentage fees. In this video, we're just talking over here, we're just talking about the per item fees, okay? So you have to understand that the cost of running a transaction as far as per item, if it's a check card transaction, the cost is probably about 25 to 26 cents, okay? So let's say you own a coffee shop and people come in, 60-70% of your clients are using their bank card or their check card. And the cost of running that transaction, just the per item fees, the transaction fees, the cost of the processor is probably going to be like 25, 26 cents, okay? So if they're charging you, a 30-cent transaction fee, that's actually pretty good. That's not really that high of a markup. So a 30-cent transaction fee is pretty good on check cards, okay? I have seen transaction fees upwards of 55, 60 cents. That's too high, right? If you're in that, 30 to 35 cent range on check cards per item, that's not bad. Now, if you're at 50, 55, 60, 65 cents per item on check card, that's too much. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that credit card transactions are actually a little bit less expensive to run in terms of the per item fee. And so the per item fee on a credit card transaction, probably the real cost there is going to range, depends on what type of credit card, probably going to be anywhere from 13 cents to maybe 18 cents. And when I say the cost, what I'm talking about is, I'm talking about the network access brand usage fee, and I'm talking about the cost of the interchange fees, which we're going to talk about in another video, and I'm talking about the authorization fee cost. So you have the authorization fee cost, you have the network access fees, which is Visa and MasterCard, and then you have the interchange fees. If you put all those per item fees together, credit cards cost about 15 cents or so, check cards cost about 25 cents or so. Okay? So that's the actual cost. So what you would expect to pay if you have a credit card processor that's bundling together all the per item fees into one transaction fee, first of all, you're probably going to pay somewhere in the range of 30 cents, but keep in mind, if you have that kind of setup, it's actually more effective and more cost effective to lower that down and to actually split it up. It's actually better to have a 30-cent transaction fee for check cards than have a 20-cent transaction fee for credit cards, because the credit cards are a little cheaper to run. Now, in the next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about interchange fees and interchange per item fees, and we're going to talk about that in the next video.